surrounded by competent, well-informed advisors who felt as though they were empowered to sit down with the president and talk him through the ramifications of what he's doing. This president does not have that. Look, the president's decision to use the National Guard, to use a police force to go into Lafayette Park and to push peaceful protesters out so that he could have this photo op yesterday, it has serious ramifications for the future of the relationship between not only law enforcement and the public, but also for our military and the public. Let's just think for a minute about what the president is asking the military to do in this sense. He's basically saying to military leaders and to military troops, look, you either stand with me against the American citizens, or you stand against me. And that's a horrible position for the president to put our U.S. military in. I will tell you that in the previous administration, I never saw anything like this. And John, you know, I served 21 years in the Marine Corps, and it's not just about what I saw in the previous administration. I've not seen this under any president that I served proudly while I was a United States Marine.
Well, to that point, Admiral Kirby, you also served this country proudly and with distinction, as Sean did. And one of the strange things yesterday is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Mark Milley, walked across with the president from the White House to St. John's Church. He was there as the president waved the Bible. He joined the president. And then later that night, he went out on patrol, if you will. He went out, he said he wanted to take a look at some of the National Guard activity around Washington, D.C. Listen here to the perspective of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs.
Just allow freedom to assemble and freedom of speech. That's perfectly fine. We support that. We took an oath of allegiance to the Constitution of the United States of America to do that and to protect everyone's rights, and that's what we do. We've got the D.C. National Guard out here, and I'm just checking seeing how well they're doing, that's all.
He's not the commander of the D.C. National Guard. He is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, an advisor to the president, the nation's top, if you will, policymaker on military matters. Is that an appropriate role for the chairman of the Joint Chiefs?
Yeah, I don't think it was the best use of his time last night for him to be out there among the troops. I think you're looking at 40 years of leadership of Army soldiers, many of those years in combat, and I think that was just coming out in Milley's personality, that he felt he needed to be out there to show that, put their mission into a bigger context, sort of in line of what Sean was saying. And I think that's where his heart was, but I don't think it was the appropriate use of his time last night, particularly given the photo stunt at St. John's Church, which unfortunately he got wrapped up into as well.
And Caitlin, one of the issues here is we've heard the president many times before try to assert authority that he does not have, about whether it's about the coronavirus, now about these protests. And I want you to listen here to some Democratic governors. The president says they are being weak. He berated them on a call, saying they need to dominate their streets, says he will send in the military if they do not. Here are several Democratic governors saying, no, thank you, sir.
I reject the notion that the federal government can send troops into the state of Illinois.
I say thank you, but no thank you. Look, the president wants to recreate reality here, right?
If it ever came to that moment, it would be because they've just thrown a lot more gas on a fire that is burning.
It is just this fascinating moment, Caitlin, where the president is trying to assert authority, and many of the big state governors are saying, sir, this is our responsibility, and B, under no circumstances do we want the military on our streets.
Yeah, and he's telling them how to run their states, which, like you noted, that was something we saw with coronavirus, where there was this struggle between, the federal government's role and the state government's role. And the president made clear on a call yesterday where he berated governors, saying that many of them were weak, not just a few of them. Many of them, he said, he believed were being weak because they were being run over by these protesters, and that he wanted to send the military in. And you heard the defense secretary even echo that, saying that he also believed that not enough of the National Guard had been sent out, and he was urging them to use more of the National Guard. And it's not just Democratic governors who are saying that they don't need that. We are also seeing Republican governors, Larry Hogan of Maryland, saying that they don't want that right now because their concern is that it will escalate things. You heard a governor say yesterday he believed there needed to be a PR aspect to this because when people see the National that it will escalate things. You heard there needed to be a PR aspect to this because when people see the National Guard being mobilized, it escalates things and raises concerns. And so they were saying they needed a better way to frame it if they were going to start doing that. And so the president is making this insistence here about sending in the military. Of course, the U.S. military does not not go out to do law enforcement in the streets of this nation unless the president himself has made a special order. And so he threatened that yesterday. We'll see if he actually uses that and go forward over the next few days.
And we will watch it over the next few days, the next few hours. Caitlin Collins, Sean Turner, Admiral Kirby, thank you so much for your insights. For the president's Republican supporters in Congress, their reaction to his handling of the protest is a difficult balancing act. Most expressing support for the cause of peaceful protest, yet also backing the president's law and order rhetoric. Senator Tim Scott, the GOP's sole African-American senator, says the president struck the right tone yesterday.
I would say that the president's comments in the Rose Garden were important. They were significant. They were heartfelt. I think they led us in the right direction. We need to hear more like that from the president because, frankly, the country rallies around our chief executive when he speaks about bringing the American family together.
Let's check in with our senior congressional correspondent, Mano Raggio. He's live up on Capitol Hill. Mano, is this another case of Republicans privately cringe a bit but publicly say they support the president?
Yeah, publicly, by and large, Republicans are not saying they have any concerns about what the president has done. A number of top Republican senators, including Senator John Cornyn of Texas, a member of the Senate Republican leadership, told me that it was a, quote, necessary security measure to clear out those protesters, including by using tear gas because of the president's movement. I said, well, what about the fact that the president even had that photo op? Was that necessary in order to clear out those protesters by force? He said, well, you know, the media is always going to criticize whatever the president does, and he thought it was a civil gesture, the president, to go forward with that photo op. Now, another top Republican senator, Chuck Grassley, I asked him about these peaceful protesters, and he said it's all assumed to be peaceful until someone that's got a terrorist activity or a rioting activity. You don't know that until it happens. So I don't know if they could have known that, referring to the police. Now, another one of the president's top allies, Lindsey Graham, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, questioned why they needed to have the photo op. He said, well, I don't know what the point was of that photo op, he told me. He also said, I guess he's trying to say we're reclaiming the church, referring to the fire that occurred the night before at St. John's Church. But the point is we need to focus on what happened to Mr. Floyd. It's a systematic problem, but you can't do that until you get order. Now, John, some Republican senators are being more critical. Ben Sass of Nebraska issued a statement saying that he supports the peaceful protesters and what was occurring there. But for the most part, that's not the sense from most of the Senate Republican Conference, who realize how the situation that we're in, and as they've seen time and again, they get crosswise with the president, they get criticized by this same president. The number 2 Senate Republican, John Thune, told me earlier that he didn't raise any concerns with the president's actions, but he appealed for calm from the White House. John.
Appealing for calm from the White House. Mano Raggio live on Capitol Hill. Appreciate the reporting there. Up next for us, the former mayor of Minneapolis joins us. He says he tried and failed to change the culture in the city's police department.
Ta-da! Did you know Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need?
I should get a quote.
Do it.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
In this world where people are staying at home, many of life's moments are being put on hold. At Carvana, we understand that for some, getting a car just can't wait. That's why the new way to buy and sell a car is also the safer way. At Carvana, you can do it all 100% online from home, with a touchless delivery and pickup process to keep you safe. And for even greater peace of mind, all Carvana cars come with a 7-day return policy. So if you need to keep moving, it's our goal to keep you safe. Check out Carvana, the safer way to buy a car.
Some companies still have HR stuck between employees and their data, entering data, changing data, more and more sensitive personal data. And it doesn't just drag HR down, it drags the entire business down with inefficiency, errors, and waste. It's ridiculous.
So ridiculous.
With Paycom, employees enter and manage their own data in a single, easy-to-use software. Visit Paycom.
Medicines, developing new treatments and vaccines, and collaborating with the FDA, NIH, and CDC. We're working with doctors and hospitals on over 235 clinical trials and ramping up production capabilities to ensure these medicines are available. Because science is how we get back to normal.
Attention veterans with VA loans. Mortgage rates are now at all-time lows. By refinancing, you can save $2,000 a year with one call to New Day USA. Our team is standing by right now to take your call. And from start to finish, you can do it all without ever leaving the house. With our VA Streamline Refi, there's no income verification, no appraisal, and no out-of-pocket costs. One call can save you $2,000 a year. Call right now. Call 1-888-909-0577.
Once weekly Ozempic is helping many people with type 2 diabetes like James lower their blood sugar. A majority of adults who took Ozempic reached an A1C under 7 and maintained it.
Here's your A1C. Oh, my A1C is under 7.
And you may lose weight. Adults who took Ozempic lost on average up to 12 pounds.
I lost almost 12 pounds. Oh.
For those also with known heart disease, Ozempic lowers the risk of major cardiovascular events such as heart attack, stroke, or death.
It lowers the risk. Oh.
Ozempic is not for people with type 1 diabetes or diabetic ketoacidosis. Do not share needles or pens. Don't reuse needles. Do not take Ozempic if you have a personal or family history of medullary thyroid cancer, multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2, or if you are allergic to Ozempic. Stop taking Ozempic and get medical help right away if you get a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, itching, rash, or Ozempic, and get medical help right away if you neck, severe stomach pain, itching, rash, or trouble breathing. Serious side effects may include pancreatitis. Tell your doctor if you have diabetic retinopathy or vision changes. Taking Ozempic with a sulfonylurea or insulin may increase low blood sugar risk. Common side effects are nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach pain, and constipation. Some side effects can lead to dehydration, which may worsen kidney problems.
Once weekly Ozempic is helping me reach my blood sugar goal.
Ask your healthcare provider today about once weekly Ozempic. We remain committed to keeping Ozempic available and affordable during these challenging times. With the Ozempic Savings Card, you may be eligible to pay as little as $25 for a 1-month or 3-month prescription.
Get the part you need from the comfort of your garage. Order online or via our mobile app with Advanced Same Day. Get same-day pickup, same-day curbside, or same-day delivery. Advance your auto. Advance Auto Parts.
Philadelphia today doing something that might seem a little counterintuitive, pushing back its curfew time. Later time, 8:30 p.m. tonight is when that curfew starts. They are doing it so that voters in the state can vote in the primary. CNN's Brian Todd is on the ground for us in Philadelphia. Brian, what's the latest?
John, the tension that has been boiling over for the past 3 days in Philadelphia is still evident this afternoon in the city. We can give you some new figures from city officials. They say that nearly 700 people total have been arrested over the past 3 days for everything from protests to looting to violating curfew and other things. And in a new development overnight, we can tell you that this is information coming from the mayor's office, that several ATMs were attacked overnight. We're in a neighborhood in North Philadelphia. That was one of them. According to the mayor's office here, someone tried to blow up that ATM and was killed there in the early morning hours of today. We also have word that a looter was shot and killed by a store owner in the early morning hours today. So pockets of looting still going on in Philadelphia. We came upon several of them last night. And, you know, the police are trying to get their arms around this stuff. They've been patrolling around the streets with reinforcements from state police and National Guard. But last night we came upon some people looting on a street in North Philadelphia where police were just down the street and the police were kind of sweeping up and down. But the looters were just brazenly going. Seem pretty confident that they can kind of just go ahead and go into a store when police are moving down the street. We can also show you some video from yesterday when the tensions got very high between police and protesters and an Interstate 676. The protesters went down onto the interstate, and police confirming to us last night that they fired several rounds of tear gas, pellets, and other things at protesters because the protesters would not heed the calls for the protesters to back off of a patrol car that they were apparently bouncing on and pounding on. So that just incited a very chaotic scene where people were climbing over each other, trying to get over a fence. They were falling on each other, tear gas all over the place. We got caught up in that. So the tension from yesterday over the past 3 days, Saturday was, of course, very bad here. Still very evident this morning, John. Police trying to get their arms around some of this.
And we'll see if it continues into the evening today as, again, the curfew a little bit later so people can vote in the primary. Brian Todd on the ground for us in Philadelphia. Thank you so much. Let's shift now to Minneapolis, where, of course, this all began. A former mayor says he knows his city's cops have a problem. In an op-ed essay, he writes, quote, "We have a majority of officers who let a minority of officers create an us versus them culture that over time dehumanizes the people and neighborhoods the officers are supposed to protect and serve. Right now, nothing matters more in Minneapolis than reforming the city's police." The former mayor, R.T. Ryback, joins us now. Mr. Mayor, thank you for being with us. Let's just start with the headline. You say you tried and you failed. How does the other side win? Why did you fail?
Well, I did fail, but first we've got to get our focus back. The focus is not riots. Focus is not looting. Those are really important. Protest is especially important. Bible-waving photo stunts is not, but the key is a knee on a neck. And when one human being does that to another, and when they are a police officer with a gun who we ask to protect and serve, we've got to first off stand up and take responsibility. 12 years as a mayor, I have replayed every one of the 4 chiefs and their reform agendas, every one of the individual conversations with cops, every one of the community meetings, and all of it has to be re-examined. But I do think we have some tools to move forward. And if we get the focus back on police reform, we should implement the 21st century policing program. That was a playbook for doing this. We should look at the research coming out of the University of Chicago about what makes a cop go wrong and build in the systems to make them go right. And we've got to ask the good officers that we know and say to them, you cannot be a good officer unless it is time to ask the police country to recognize that we can reform their department, but it's got to start with them.
Well, to that point, you write in your piece, to the many good officers I know exist, I say this: you know in your heart that George Floyd should not be dead. Your silence is deafening, and this city and this country cannot move forward until we hear your voices. As you know, one officer, the officer we all saw, committing a heinous act of violence against a fellow citizen who was not resisting, has been charged. 3 other officers stood by silently, did not intervene. What are you looking for? The chief has spoken out. The chief has said he believes the department and those men, especially those men standing by, were complicit. What are you looking for from the department at this moment, from the rank and file officers, to try to show the citizens of the community they get it and they will change?
We have a good chief who I believe has the capacity to get this done. But if we still have leaders of the Police Federation, a union leader in our town, who wrote a 2-page letter to his members yesterday that didn't mention the murder of a person at the hands of the Minneapolis Police Department once. When that person gives cover to that, when a president of the United States, then we really ourselves whether the people who elect that person, and in the case of the Federation president, it is the police officers. As long as they take comfort from a person who gives them comfort for doing the wrong thing, then we cannot move forward.
The former mayor of Minneapolis, R.T. Ryback. Sir, thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Coming up, an update on the global race for a COVID-19 vaccine.
USAA was made for right now. Right now is a time for action. So for a second time, we're giving members a credit on their auto insurance because it's the right thing to do. We're also giving payment relief options to eligible members so they can take care of things like groceries before they worry about their insurance or credit card bills. Right now is a time to take care of what matters most, like we've done together so many times before. Discover all the ways we're helping members at usaa.com/coronavirus.
This is a paid advertisement for legal services. Attention! If you were born before 1958, listen closely. Industrial and trade workers were exposed to deadly levels of asbestos decades ago. This means people who started working in these jobs in the 1970s or before are being diagnosed. This means people who started working in these jobs in the 1970s or before are being diagnosed today with mesothelioma and other asbestos-related diseases. If you've been diagnosed with mesothelioma, find out today if you're eligible for compensation. Call Sokolov Law now at 1-800-562-9516. 1-800-562-9516. I'm a non-attorney spokesperson.
When managing diabetes, you can't always stop for a finger stick. With the Freestyle Libre 14-day system, a continuous glucose monitor, you don't have to. With a painless 1-second scan, you can check your glucose with a smartphone or reader, so you can stay in the moment, no matter where you are or what you're doing. Ask your doctor for a prescription for the Freestyle Libre 14-day system. You can do it without finger sticks. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
This moment right now, this is our commencement. No, we'll not get a diploma or a degree of any kind, but we are entering a new chapter in our lives. Our confidence is shaken, our hearts cracked, the kind of crack that comes from the loss of a job, from life plans falling apart. We didn't ask for it, but we are rising to meet it. And how far we've come isn't even close to how far we can go. We just have to remember how patient we were, how strong we can be, how strong. We just have to remember how patient we were, how strong we can be, how strong you can be. And remember this, there's a crack in everything for a reason. How else can the light get in? Tomorrow starts today.
My family and I did a fundraiser walk in honor of my dad who has Alzheimer's. I decided to make shirts for the walk with custom ink, and they just came out perfect.
Check out our huge selection of custom apparel for every occasion. You'll even get free shipping. Get started today at customink.com.
Thank you to my mom who works in a hospital.
These people deserve and command our utmost respect.
Gracias de corazón.
You are seeing rocks being thrown and that being met with tear gas.
This is a much different scene than what we saw last night.
The tensions go up. It is increasingly worrisome.
Do you mind telling me why
Purpose and simple go hand in hand, like salt and pepper. Point is, they go together. So it should come as no surprise that it looks like it took a long time salmon only took about 30 minutes. There, oh yeah, that's good. And wow, that was so easy, all rolled into one. So what are you waiting for?
Get $30 off your first month at homechef.com.
Also available at select stores. Home Chef, delicious meets simple.
Getting out of bed is, let's face it, kinda terrible. And at Bull & Branch, we don't make it any easier. Our 100% organic cotton sheets are so incredibly soft, your bed becomes your happy place. When you're cozied up in beautifully made, stunningly soft sheets, there's no place you'd rather be. So, yeah, we don't make mornings any easier. But we do make them better. Try getting out of Bull & Branch sheets risk-free for 30 mornings.
I'm Sarah Seidner in Minneapolis. This is CNN.
Closed caption. Do you have an idea? Call today for free information.
Call 800-710-0020.
To new developments now in the global rush to find a vaccine for the coronavirus. The World Health Organization says there are now 133 COVID-19 vaccines in the works around the world right now. CNN senior medical correspondent Elizabeth Cohen joins us now with an update. Elizabeth?
John, let's break down exactly where all of those vaccines are because they're in very different places. Let's take a look. So there are 10 vaccines that are in human clinical trials. In other words, they're actually being experimented on in humans in various stages. 5 are Chinese, 4 are earlier stages. They're being studied in animals. They're being studied in the lab. It's not clear when those will get to this final stage where you actually study first in dozens, then in hundreds, then in thousands, if not tens of thousands of humans. Now, still, we don't know when we're going to get a vaccine. The ones that are in human clinical trials now are likely going to be the first. What Tony Fauci has been saying for a long time is basically January till June of next year. John?
And Elizabeth, the Surgeon General today saying he believes there potentially could be new outbreaks and new coronavirus clusters. Explain what he means.
Right, so you just have to watch that video for just even a few minutes and you can see that people are in a small area. Now they're outside, which is good. Often not wearing masks, and that's the virus. And so what the Surgeon General is saying is that is a ripe situation for the spread of the virus. And he is concerned, not now, not tomorrow, not the next day, but that as days go forward, we could be seeing new outbreaks.
That's something to watch in the data a couple weeks from now. Elizabeth Cohen, appreciate those important updates there. And just ahead for us, the New York governor has a message for police officers confronting protesters.
Want to brain better? Unlike ordinary memory supplements, Nariva has clinically proven. Unlike ordinary memory supplements, Nariva has clinically proven ingredients that fuel 5 indicators of brain performance: memory, focus, accuracy, learning, and concentration. Try Nariva for 30 days and see the difference.
This is Fracture. Just upload an image, place your order, and it'll show up at your door, beautifully printed directly on glass. And this isn't just another frame, not just another canvas. This is new. This is a Fracture. Visit fractureme.com and print one today.
Apps are used everywhere except work. Why is that? Is it because people love filling out forms? Maybe they like checking with their supervisor to see how much vacation time they have. Or sending corporate their expense reports? I'll let you in on a little secret. They don't. By empowering employees to manage their own tasks, Paycom frees you to focus on the business of business. To learn more, visit paycom.com.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be signs that your digestive system isn't working at its best? Using a special plant-based fiber called psyllium works by forming a gel in your digestive system to trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Metamucil's gelling action also helps to lower cholesterol and slows sugar absorption to promote healthy blood sugar levels. So start feeling lighter and more energetic by taking Metamucil every day.
So, who here struggles with clogged gutters? Let's take a look at some damage caused by clogged gutters.
Clogged gutters did all that?
Absolutely.
That looks like our house.
Who climbs ladders to clean their gutters?
Dad, I keep telling you it's dangerous.
Climbing ladders is too dangerous. Once our ladders go up, you can put yours down forever.
So how does it work?
Leaf Filter's 3-piece system filters out leaves and debris, letting water flow through freely.
Do we need to replace our gutters?
Great question.
Will save a lot of money.
Do I have to pay for an estimate? No, it's free. And you'll get a free gutter inspection, too.
We're sold.
Call 833-LEAF-FILTER or go to getleaffilter.com for your free gutter inspection and estimate. Call or log on today and save 15%.
I've been on a diet for as long as I can remember.
I even cut out bread and pasta for a day.
They say it's based on a cognitive behavioral approach. I just say it works.
It just clicked. It worked. It worked with Noom.
Visit Noom.com and lose the weight for good.
There are so many toothpastes out there. Which one should I use?
Try Crest Proactive Defense. It neutralizes bacteria for a healthier mouth than even the leading multi-benefit toothpaste. Crest.
Coronavirus. Stay informed with the facts. Join Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
We truly are all in this together.
For CNN's new podcast, Coronavirus, Fact versus Fiction. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Roxy loves Farmer's Dog. It smells good, comes in these convenient little packs. It's made my life so much simpler. This dog is my heart. I want her to have a long and healthy life.
Visit betterforthem.com.
It's time in the world that women over 50 still exist. Intimates for every age at Nix.com.
Why would your kids need a Greenlight debit card? Well, they're gonna need money sometimes. With Greenlight, you can send them money instantly, manage where they can spend, and get alerts when they use their card. Imagine the peace of mind that would bring you. Greenlight.
I'm Natasha Chen in Atlanta, Georgia, and this is CNN.
President Trump is blaming the Antifa movement for much of the violence we're seeing during these protests across the country. But we are now learning that online calls for action, calls for violence attributed to Antifa, are in fact coming from elsewhere, and the president's family buying into this online deceit. Let's bring in CNN's Donnie O'Sullivan. Donnie, walk us through what's happening here.
That's right, John. On Sunday, the president went as far as saying he would label Antifa a terrorist organisation. Now, with that in mind, a tweet began circulating on Sunday evening into Sunday night, and I think we can bring it up on screen. It came from an account that said they were Antifa America, and it said, "Alert, tonight's the night, comrades. Tonight we say F the city and we move into residential areas, the white hoods, and we take what's ours." Now that is obviously a clear call to violence, but we have learned since over the past 24 hours, Twitter telling us that account was not actually run by Antifa at all. It was, in fact, actually run by white nationalists, a known white supremacist group. Now, it's important to say that, that actually run by white supremacist group. Now, it's important to say that, that doesn't mean that Antifa isn't involved in any violence here in any way, but what it does confirm is suspicions that white nationalists have been jumping on the Antifa movement in ways to try and stoke tension. And that tweet picked up a lot of traction. In fact, it got picked up by the president's son, Donald Trump Jr., who shared the tweet from Antifa with his 2.8 million Instagram followers, obviously believing it was real. And he said, "Absolutely insane." This was his commenting on the tweet. "Just remember what Antifa really is, a terrorist organization. They're not even pretending anymore." Now, when we reached out for comment, there was no comment from Trump Jr. He has removed that post from his Instagram this morning, and there is obviously no suggestion whatsoever that he knew who was behind this. Like all of us, he probably fell for some online misinformation here. So it's very important, I think, that we all know, as we see posts from all sides of the political spectrum across all social media platforms, to be very critical of what you're looking at, and things may not be what they seem.
Things may not be what they seem. It's not the first time the president's son has either retweeted or to be. Donnie O'Sullivan, important reporting. Thank you, sir. New York's Governor Andrew Cuomo is saying what's happening in his state is inexcusable. Looting and violence resulting in more than 700 arrests last night. CNN's Shimon Prokopez joins us from New York. Shimon, you see the pictures of